It is our pleasure to share our expertise and help you make the transition to Windows 95. We've introduced you to the Windows 95 interface and several exciting new features. In this segment, you'll learn new ways to manage your documents, and we will explain some of the benefits of the new 32-bit operating system. We'll also introduce you to powerful tools for multimedia and communications. Diagsoft is proud to present Part 2 of our program, Mastering the Transition from Windows 3.1 to Windows 95. By now, you should be familiar with the new Windows 95 interface, and you should be able to find and run all your old programs. Let's go a little deeper now and explore a few advanced features of the new system. Windows 95 is a more document-centric interface. This simply means that the operating system is designed to give you easy access to documents. Windows 95 includes several new tools that make it much easier to view and manage your files. In some cases, you can even open and view documents without opening the program that was used to create the document. Windows 95's 32-bit architecture is faster and more flexible than Windows 3.1. We'll talk about a few of the benefits of the 32-bit system: preemptive multitasking, dynamic swap files, and built-in network support. Windows 95 takes advantage of the latest multimedia technology to make computing more engaging and more fun. We'll show you some of the new multimedia players and accessories in Windows 95, and we'll talk about improved video and sound performance. Windows 95 makes it easy to communicate with others and explore the online world. We'll introduce you to the communications tools that are built into Windows 95, including support for electronic mail, fax, bulletin boards, and a new online service called the Microsoft Network. Windows 95 provides you with a variety of advanced tools to make computing easier and more powerful. Join us now for an in-depth look at some of these features. We're going to tell you about several features that make it easier to manage your documents. But before we talk about documents, John will take you back into the control panel to show you how to add features to the Windows 95 interface. This is very important because certain tools are not automatically set up during the installation process. Windows 95 includes an easy way to add and remove features at any time. This helps to save hard drive space and allows you to customize your system to suit your needs.
We talked about the control panel in the first part of this program. We're going to talk about it a little more in depth this time and talk about the Add Remove Programs item, which is a new control panel feature. Click on the Start button, go to Settings, and click on Control Panel. Add Remove Programs is what you use to install and uninstall new software and to add new Windows 95 features. As an exercise, let's add Quick View, which is a useful new tool that we'll cover later in this program. Double-click the Add Remove Programs icon. The Add Remove Programs dialog box has three tabs: Install, Uninstall for adding and removing any Windows 95 programs, Windows Setup for adding and removing Windows 95 features, and Startup Disk, which is for creating an emergency startup disk. We're going to use the Windows Setup page to add the Quick View feature. Quick View is an accessory, so we select Accessories. Now we click the Details button to select a specific accessory. I'm scrolling down the scroll bar to get to Quick View, and I'm going to make sure it's checked. Next, I'll click OK on both dialog boxes to save my settings. The software will ask me to insert a Windows 95 CD or diskette. The software will find the new files and copy them to my hard drive, and voila, we've added Quick View to the system. I'll show you what Quick View does shortly.
One of the goals of the new interface is to give you more flexibility when accessing and using your documents. The words document centricity and object-oriented interface are often used to describe this approach. As operating systems become more object-oriented, we can look at documents instead of programs as the key objects that we work with. There are several ways to view and open documents in Windows 95. Here's John to show you how.
As in Windows 3.1, you can still open documents from within the program that you used to create it. You can also double-click a document icon in the Explorer or in My Computer to open it. But there are a few other interesting options. Click on the Start button and go to Documents. You'll find a list of documents you've previously worked with. The list will continue to grow as new documents are edited. If the list gets too long to manage, you can clear all documents from this list as follows. Click on the Start button and go to Settings, and then click on Taskbar. Click on the tab labeled Start Menu Programs, and you'll see the Clear Documents menu button at the bottom. You can click here to clear your Documents menu. You can use the Find command to search for and open a document anywhere in your computer. To use Find, right-click the Start button and click on Find. You can type the name of the document to search for, and you can use the star wildcard as part of the name. You can also specify the path you want to search and specify whether or not you want all subdirectories searched. Press the Find Now button, and the system will build you a list of all files that meet your name criteria. You can then double-click any of those files to open them. Quick View is another feature that makes documents more accessible than in Windows 3.1. Quick View lets you view a document without opening it for modifications. This feature is not installed during a typical installation, so follow the instructions earlier in this program. If Quick View is installed, you can right-click on a document in the Explorer or My Computer and select Quick View from the pop-up menu. The pop-up menu will only have a Quick View option if a viewer is installed for that type of document, so this won't work for all files. When you click on Quick View, a window will open that shows you the contents of the document. You can also drag other documents into this viewing window to view their contents. The first button on the toolbar in the Quick View window allows you to open the document and edit it. Property sheets are another feature that add to the object-centered nature of Windows 95. Almost everything on your desktop has properties. For example, one of the properties for a shortcut is its target, or the file that will be opened if the shortcut is clicked on. Disk drives have properties, programs have properties, documents have properties, shortcuts have properties, My Computer has properties, and the taskbar has properties. To view an object's properties, all you have to do is right-click on it and select Properties from the pop-up menu. The Properties dialog box will look different depending on the type of object you're dealing with. For example, let's look at the properties of our C drive. I right-click on C and choose Properties from the pop-up menu. As you can see, hard drive properties include a neat little graphic that shows how much free space you have left on the drive. Microsoft's OLE, which stands for Object Linking and Embedding, is another feature that increases document flexibility. OLE is a feature of Microsoft Office that has been incorporated into Windows 95. With OLE-compliant applications, you can cut or copy part of a document from an object application and paste it into a container application. When you edit that part of the document in the container application, control is transferred back to the object application for editing. For example, you can copy part of a spreadsheet from Microsoft Excel and paste it into a Microsoft Word document. The spreadsheet is now part of the Word document. When you click on the spreadsheet, your menus and toolbars will turn into Excel menus and toolbars, and you can manipulate the spreadsheet from within Word. Basically, OLE helps us create compound documents by letting us link and embed documents from different applications. Many of the major applications on the market today are OLE compatible, and we're going to see more of this in the future. Drag and drop is another OLE feature. There are several ways to drag and drop documents to perform useful actions. For example, if you drag a document file that was created by an OLE application onto the printer or a printer shortcut icon, the document will be printed. This is a time-saving alternative to opening the document, choosing File, Print, and closing the application. Here's another drag and drop example. Let's select a section of text in Microsoft Word and drag it onto the desktop. When you drop it on the desktop, it becomes a word selection object. From there, you can drag it into any other OLE document. The text will become part of the document you drag it into.
Windows 95 is more robust, more flexible, and in many cases faster than Windows 3.1. This is because Windows 95 has an improved 32-bit protected mode architecture. This new operating system means several things for you. When using 32-bit programs, your computer can easily handle larger data files. That means improved performance, faster network access, smoother video and sound, and no out-of-memory errors. In addition, 32-bit programs are protected from each other, so crashing a 32-bit program won't crash your system or affect other applications. Your old 16-bit Windows programs aren't entirely protected from each other, but they are somewhat separated from the operating system, so crashing your old programs won't bring your system down as often as it did in Windows 3.1. John will tell you about 3 important features of the 32-bit operating system.
In the first part of our program, we talked about multitasking, or running several applications at one time. Windows 3.1 used cooperative multitasking, where only one application had control of the computer at a given time. You could have several applications running, but each task had to wait for another task to finish processing before it could continue running. In this scenario, if a task crashes, there's a good chance that the entire operating system and all other tasks will also be brought down. This happens because the other tasks are waiting for the crashed task to release control, and it never does. Preemptive multitasking means that your computer can do work on several applications at a time in parallel. Instead of waiting for a task to finish processing, Windows 95 allows a task to run for a short time and then pauses that task and gives control to the next task for the same length of time. This gives the appearance that all your tasks are running simultaneously. No one application has total control of the computer for extended periods of time. If one task crashes, the other tasks don't get stuck waiting endlessly for it to finish processing. You can then end the crashed task and continue on with the other task you are running. In Windows 95, only the 32-bit programs are preemptively multitasked. Your older 16-bit Windows programs are still cooperatively multitasked. Actually, to get real technical, 16-bit programs are cooperatively multitasked within a 32-bit preemptive task, but if you don't understand that, don't worry about it. If you're running a 16-bit program and it locks up, it's also going to bring down any other 16-bit programs that you're running. But the lockup won't bring down the operating system as often as it did in Windows 3.1. If a 32-bit task locks up, you can end that task without affecting any other tasks. Let's talk about the new 32-bit swap file. A swap file is a portion of your hard drive that is used as extra memory when you need it. If you need more memory than you have in RAM, it will access your swap file to make up the difference. Note that memory access is much faster than disk access, so even though Windows 95 can simulate as much RAM as it needs using a swap file, your computer will run a lot faster when you have plenty of RAM. In Windows 3.1, you had to go into your control panel and adjust the size of your swap file depending on your memory needs. Windows 95 automatically creates a swap file for you and adjusts its size as needed, using an algorithm that balances remaining hard drive space and memory needs. For illustration, let's say you have 8 megs of RAM in your system. I'll guess that Windows 95 uses about 4 megs of memory to operate. If you open an application that requires 4 megs of memory, you'll be using all your RAM. If you open a second application that requires another 4 megs, Windows 95 will automatically create a 4 meg swap file to accommodate the new task. If a third application is opened, Windows 95 will increase the size of the swap file to accommodate it. When you switch tasks, the task in memory is swapped out to the swap file, and the new task is swapped back into memory from the swap file. Basically, Windows 95 will make sure you always have enough memory to perform your tasks. This self-optimization feature eliminates out-of-memory errors and gives you better performance.
Another benefit of the new operating system is its built-in networking capabilities. Networks are becoming more and more common in office environments. They allow you and your coworkers to share documents and programs, and they allow you to share printers and other hardware. If your computer is set up to use a network, the Network Neighborhood icon appears on your desktop. When you double-click on the icon, you might see other computers in your work group or servers you are connected to. Windows 95 includes all the software you need for networking, including a new user interface, which makes it easier than ever to view and connect to the computers on your network. John will tell you about the various types of networks that you can connect to from within Windows 95.
First, let's define 2 types of networks: peer-to-peer networks and client-server networks. On a peer-to-peer network, you can access files or printers on your neighbor's machine, and your neighbors can access your computer. This is useful in small offices where a few individuals need to share information. Windows 95 includes all the software you need to build a peer-to-peer network with other Windows 95 or Windows for Workgroups computers. It's easy to create your own network. Buy a 32-bit plug-and-play Ethernet card for each computer in your office, hook up cables between the computers, and let Windows 95 automatically configure your hardware and walk you through setting up your network. On a client-server network, you have access to files and printers on a specially designated server computer. You may also have access to other computers on the network, but this access is controlled by the server. This type of network is common in larger office environments where security is an issue. You can have file servers, where each client has access to the parts of the server's hard drives. You can have print servers, which clients use to access network printers. And you can have compute servers, where you can use a bigger, faster computer to perform some processing for you. A Windows 95 computer can be used as a universal client. This means that your computer can be hooked up as a client to different types of network servers at the same time. A Windows 95 computer can talk to Novell NetWare servers, Windows NT servers, OS2 servers, Unix servers, and several others. Windows 95 also includes dial-up networking support. You can use your modem at home to access files and printers at the office by calling up a server through the phone line. This is particularly useful for traveling executives or anyone who wants to access their office computer from home.
What are the new multimedia capabilities of Windows 95? When we talk about multimedia, it's important to differentiate multimedia hardware from multimedia software. Multimedia software includes programs that contain sound, digital video, and animation in addition to text and graphics. Most interactive CD-ROM titles on the market fall into this category. Multimedia software also includes tools for playing sound and video files, which are built into the Windows 95 operating system. Multimedia hardware is any device that is used to record or play back sound, video, or animation, including CD-ROM drives, sound cards, speakers, microphones, and video capture boards. Windows 95 has several features that increase multimedia performance and make it easier to use. Here's John to tell you more.
Windows 95 includes tools for video playback, audio playback, and audio recording. It will take care of all your basic multimedia needs, but more sophisticated multimedia tools can always be purchased separately. The media player is used to play AVI video files, WAV sound files, and MIDI sound files. A sound card is required to play the sound. The user interface has play, pause, fast forward, rewind, stop, and eject buttons, and it has a slider control that allows you to position the playback at any point in the multimedia sequence. Whenever you double-click an AVI file or a MIDI file in the Explorer, Windows 95 plays them using this media player. The sound recorder is used to play and record WAV sound files. It requires a sound card for playing and recording and a microphone for recording sound. It has standard play, pause, reverse, and fast forward, stop, and record buttons, and it also has a slider control that allows you to position the playback at any point in the sound sequence. Whenever you double-click on a WAV file in the Explorer, it automatically plays it in the sound recorder. Autoplay is a new feature for CD-ROMs and music CDs. If you insert a CD-ROM program disk that includes an autoplay file, Windows 95 will automatically run a startup program that identifies the CD. Windows 95 will then ask you if you want to run a program on the CD. If you insert a music CD into your CD-ROM drive, the Windows 95 CD player is automatically run, which allows you to play music CDs while you work. I'll talk about the CD player in just a moment. You can also use the autoplay feature by double-clicking on the CD icon in the Explorer. To view the contents of a CD without running the autoplay program, hold down the Shift key while you double-click on the CD. The CD player is used to play standard music CDs. To run the CD player, either insert a music CD into your CD drive or double-click the CD icon in the Explorer when a music CD is in your CD drive. The CD player program looks like the CD console in a home stereo system. You can type the musician and album title for your CD, and the CD player program will automatically recognize it whenever you insert that CD again. Windows 95's new 32-bit file system and preemptive multitasking capabilities mean improved video and sound performance. You'll see smoother video and sound playback, particularly when you use 32-bit applications. There are a couple new terms you may come across when looking at your multimedia setup in your control panel, so let's take a look at them. We'll look at the multimedia configuration in our control panel. Click the Start button, go to Settings, and click on Control Panel. Then open Multimedia Configuration. Then click on Advanced page. You'll see that you have a list of audio compression codecs and video compression codecs. A codec is a compression-decompression manager. The CO comes from compression, and the DEC stands for decompression. Sound, picture, and video data eats up a lot of disk space, so it is usually compressed when it is recorded, and it is decompressed when it's played back. The codecs take care of this task for you. Windows 95 is automatically configured with most of the codecs you need. DCI stands for Display Control Interface. It is a new display driver hardware interface created by Microsoft and Intel, and it includes a number of features that will give you better video and graphics performance. Windows 95 has improved video performance even without DCI, but you'll get the best video if you have it. If video performance is important to you, look for a DCI compatible video card next time you upgrade.
Will Windows 95 make communications easier? When you are ready to go beyond the computer on your desk, there are many ways to communicate with other computers and computer users. We've already introduced you to networking. Now let's explore a few more tools. Windows 95 includes many of the communications tools that were purchased separately in the past. Communications is now an integral part of the operating system. Windows 95 includes support for most major email formats, the Internet, fax communications, electronic bulletin boards, and a new online service called the Microsoft Network.
You can use Hyperterminal to easily connect to other computers, bulletin boards, or text-based online services. Hyperterminal can auto-configure your modem and uses connection documents so that you can easily hook up to anyone you've called before. When you run Hyperterminal, it checks for a modem already installed on your system. If it can't find the modem in your configuration, Hyperterminal runs a modem setup wizard, which can automatically detect and configure your modem. Hyperterminal creates connection documents with a .ht extension that you can open from the Explorer. A connection, in the Hyperterminal context, consists of a phone number, a label, a modem speed setting, and error correction settings. You'll have a connection document for each number you call with your modem. The new Hyperterminal makes modem connections easier than ever. Microsoft Exchange features a universal inbox, which allows you to send, receive, and organize electronic mail and faxes. To use Exchange, you have to have a modem or a network connection. Exchange gives you a flexible way of managing your communications with others. It features a personal address book, which allows you to organize all your contacts by name, address, phone number, fax number, and email address. You can send and receive email, and you can attach files to your email, like word processor documents or entire applications. Exchange works best when you use Microsoft Mail as your mail system. It allows you to gather Microsoft Mail, CompuServe Mail, and Microsoft Network Mail in the same inbox. Other information services should eventually be supported, so we'll be able to use Internet Mail, CC Mail, and other formats. The only way Microsoft gives you to send and receive Internet email is through the Microsoft Network. However, Exchange will eventually allow us to manage all forms of interpersonal communication in a central place. With the fax modem and Microsoft Fax, you can easily send and receive fax messages. Incoming faxes appear as messages in your Microsoft Exchange inbox. Microsoft Fax comes with a cover page editor, including several sample cover pages, and a fax viewer for viewing faxes that can't be edited. Microsoft Fax is one of the neater new features of Windows 95. It includes a fax printer driver, which means that you can choose the fax as your printer and fax any document that you can print. Any contact from your personal address book can be a fax recipient, or you can manually enter the number you want to fax to. Microsoft Fax is integrated with Exchange, which allows you to send email over your fax modem as if it were a fax. To use this feature, your fax recipient must have a fax modem and must be using Windows 95 or Windows for Workgroups. With this feature, you have a wide area network that you can use to send a data file to anyone in the world. When you send email to a fax machine, Microsoft Fax is smart enough to figure out whether it's talking to another Microsoft Fax or to a regular fax machine. If it's talking to a Microsoft Fax, it keeps everything in binary format so the recipient can edit the file. If it's talking to a standard fax machine, it renders the file so it will print out on the receiving end. You can buy membership to the Microsoft Network, which is a CompuServe-like information service with internet links and forums for just about any interest group. You can use this service to read the news, find answers to technical questions, download software, connect to the internet, and much more. At the time of this recording, the Microsoft Network is still under construction, but it will be one of the largest bulletin board information services in the entire world. With the high quality graphics that you'll see on the Microsoft network, you're going to need at least a 14.4 modem and preferably a 28.8. With less than a 14.4K modem speed, you're going to be waiting longer than you'd like to for the content to appear on your screen. Hopefully, you'll also have a local access number that runs at 14.4 or better to avoid long-distance phone charges.
We hope you've enjoyed part 2 of our program, Mastering the Transition from Windows 3.1 to Windows 95. We've covered a lot of new territory. We've introduced you to improvements in document management, system architecture, multimedia support, and communications. We at Diagsoft hope that you'll return to parts 1 and 2 of our program to answer any questions you might have about the new operating system. Windows 95 is simple to install and use, and it's loaded with features that make computing easier, more powerful, and more fun. Thanks for watching our program, and thank you for choosing Diagsoft's Introduction to Windows 95.